What's good, y'all? You Dub back here again in 2020. Let's get it. I hope y'all are staying warm. If you're in a place like me that's a little bit on the chill side, some of y'all may be encountering snow. Other y'all, I mean, you might not be dealing with the cold, but I know some places are getting windy as hell, and that cuts through everything. So stay warm. Hope everybody's staying safe and having a great day. Now, great night whenever you're watching this video. The other day, I dropped a vid on Sanji's fighting style. I know for some of y'all, it might be a grand surprise, and I had plans of doing at least Sanji, maybe Luffy and Zoro, but I got asked by a subscriber to do the entire Straw Hat crew, which I think is phenomenal, and I can get into other people's fighting styles from various series, because I think a lot of people don't appreciate or understand when it comes to fighting styles. Now, if you watch that video, and the link may or may not be in the description box below, depending if I remember it at the time of this recording. But if you watch that video, you know I went into Sanji's childhood. I went to the psychology, the psyche, as well as the philosophy behind the fighting style. Now, because what I said in that video, I'm gonna say it at the beginning of this one. No one develops, no man, woman, boy, girl, really man or woman, develops a fighting style, goes into a specific martial art haphazardly. There's a reason. For example, why would you take Aikido? Because you let's say you're more pacifistic, or you don't want your rage to get a hold and you strike and hurt somebody, assault. You're not trying to get the cops involved, but you want a martial art to be able to defend yourself, take down the opponent, subdue the situation, cool it, or get him to stop. You know, boxing. You want the ability to defend yourself in any environment, as well as give them a little something or be able to dodge, whatever the case may be. Watch a lot of folks may go into MMA. Maybe they have multiple tools that they have. For some people, they go into MMA because they kick, but they, maybe they don't have for a competition. There isn't an avenue for kickboxing professionally, so they go into MMA and they learn the other traits. Some people develop weapons fighting styles because of what they're accustomed to dealing with, what they have on hand. That's where a lot of these different katas or forms of weapons fighting come in, historically come into, because peasants or monks, different ones, had to be able to defend themselves. Different martial arts from leopard style, dog style, you name it, bear, tiger, whatever, were from watching natural creatures, and they were like, let me see if I can somewhat copy the different stuff, snake style kung fu, to be able to effectively disable the opponent and thus protect myself at a higher efficient rate. Especially if your body's on the frailer or weaker side, petite woman able to strike and use her attributes to be able to put down her opponent and keep herself safe. So keep all of that in mind. Now we come to a character like Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy's a fascinating analysis and character study, right? You can, and I've done various videos on Luffy. I've talked greatly. People know how much I love Luffy on this channel. And if you don't, it's my second favorite character in anime and manga history. He's my fifth favorite character in fiction history. Love his character. And a lot of reasons as to why I love his character come out when it comes to fights. Now, before I get into the backdrop of his life and how it impacts him, understand who Luffy is as a character. We've seen this dude have a switch flip, and I can relate to that. Now, he doesn't fully go into rage, but he's got some of that. And I'm going to keep doing this. Switch flip. Just like that. Y'all see the smile. Y'all see the, and yes, that was a Joker reference. You see the bubbly nature, the simple man, but Luffy's got a lot of complexity to him. He's got multiple sides to his character. It's just people look very superficially. And I think Oda did that on reason. Luffy is a man of action. Okay? He says what he thinks. There are times, though, we don't see thought bubbles, but there are times where we have seen Luffy sit down and contemplate what to do next or to listen to a strategy. People say, oh, Luffy doesn't go part of the plan. That's not true. It's just that Luffy sees things for what they are and he goes above and beyond and he sees objectives. He just analyzes quickly and makes quick battle time decisions. He don't play games. He don't go in these long, elaborate plans, and plans are bound to fail, especially when you're dealing with adversaries like he's dealing with in the pirate world. People who are unpredictable, who are loose cannons in of themselves, just like Luffy. He has indomitable will. Okay, he's got willpower out, unbelievable. His amount of ability to learn quickly is astronomical. He's a fighting genius. Okay, he knows when to be serious, and that's an important concept. That if a fighter doesn't know when to be serious, I don't care how gifted and talented you are. If you can't flip the switch, then your ass is going to get exposed. Your ass is going to end up getting hurt. Okay, Luffy understands that. Luffy understands that there's going to be pain. He understands that he may die, and he accepts these things. Luffy's a realist. As positive as he is, he's a very much realist. We see that when you talk with Vivi. There's a lot of layers that you can get into with his character. In order to understand that his fighting style reflects his character, as well as his fighting style reflects how he was raised. And I was talking in the comment section of the Sanji video, and how Luffy never had any formal training. And it's very hard pressed. I'm not sure we've seen a character in fiction that had zero formal training. And I mean that. Yes, here's his training. He got thrown into the jungle by Garp, his grandfather, as a young child to survive. That was survival training. And then you had where he fought, sparred and things with Ace and Sabo and stuff. He didn't get trained to use his devil fruit. He figured that all out on his own. Even you could say, well, what about Rayleigh training? Rayleigh trained him through experience. Rayleigh trained him, but all what Rayleigh did was hone Luffy's already natural talents and told Luffy, oh yeah, go figure it out on your own. And to further cement that point, he left with 6 months left in the 2 years. He said, yeah, you won't be able to learn the basics in 2 years. But then Rayleigh left. So Luffy pretty much figures things out on his own. He develops on his own, in his own mind. And we've seen this dude develop things very, very quickly. It is very rare. For example, a greater fighting genius, Son Goku in Dragon Ball. He doesn't really have any of his techniques. In manga, he doesn't have it. The only technique that Son Goku has is Dragon Fist. That he himself, it is his own technique. Everything else he learned. Everything else. Uchiha Madara. Aizen Sosuke. Urahara Kisuke. Alright? All of that stuff was learned. Either they learned it or they learned it over they had a large period of time through experimentation. Luffy just comes up with stuff. Luffy never faces an opponent to where he knows their abilities. And he faces a gamut of opponents, like Batman Bruce Wayne. Okay? So he has a very versatile arsenal that he can bring to the table. This dude has showed karate stances. For those who do disagree, you could say filler or whatever you want to, but whenever he taught the Kung Fu Dugongs, those were karate stances. That was a horse stance. How do you learn a horse stance? This dude knows how to punch. Now, all of his moves are amplified via his devil fruit, but they're very great base techniques. All right. Does he really box? Well, we've seen him use boxing. How do you learn boxing? We've seen him use kung fu, various types of kung fu. There is Gomu Gomu no whip and things of that nature. Those are kung fu moves. Have we seen him grapple? No, not really. He's a striker. But we've seen him mix it up, if you will. We've seen him do kickboxing. We've seen pretty much every type of martial art that comes with striking. We've seen this man pretty much do. And it's incredible. We haven't seen something like Salate, but like your more traditional ones. Okay? Karate, Muay Thai. When I say traditional, the ones the standards that you think of: karate, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, boxing, kickboxing, then various forms of kung fu. This dude brings so much to the table. He's got all the tools in the toolbox. And he utilizes his devil fruit. People think his fighting style is based on his devil fruit. That's just not true. That's not true at all. If anything, evidence that we see when it comes to the fight against, yes, it's filler, but listen, it's an example of fighting style versus former Admiral Zephyr, aka Z. Luffy just, at the end of the day, people are like, oh, he just brawled. Listen, bro. Sometimes you just go out there and slug it out. When all else fails, you just go out there with your will and just throw them things. There's nothing wrong with that. We've seen some of the greatest boxers in history do that. We've seen the same thing with some of the greatest MMA fighters. Sometimes it ain't pretty. You just go out there and you just got to get the W. Deontay, if nobody else proved that, Deontay Wilder proved that. The Bronze Bomber. Sometimes he just has to deal with it. You get rocked. You keep fighting. You keep throwing a jab, and then bam, you land that punch. You land that kick, and that's just how it be. Sometimes you get ugly wins. Every legend has an ugly win. It's just the reality of the situation. His defense, his observation, and before he even had observation hockey really learned, he was already dodging. His agility is ridiculous. The ability to manipulate his body in the air, that's not part of his devil fruit. His devil fruit he utilizes alongside his natural abilities that he himself honed. What did he do for 10 years? Since the time of Ace and before he set out to sea. What the hell did he do? How did he learn all of this? It's almost like because he was like most people training alone, you don't get this. How the hell did Luffy learn this? And he's become sharpened and sharper. He's honed his skills because of his high level competition. He continues to fight people who are a hell of a lot more experienced than him, who have so much mastery of abilities, who bring forth a versatile toolbox of attacks and what you name it. And so he has to figure out all of these puzzles. You go from Alvito, okay, you like Alvito, he just beat because he was just stronger. Cool. Captain Axe Hand Morgan, well, you got a guy with a damn axe. All right. That brings a different and he's a captain. Okay. So you know that this guy is at least somewhat about it. He might not be the most, the toughest son of a gun, but he can at least do something. Okay. Captain Kuro brings the speed game, brings the claws. Again, another puzzle for Luffy to solve. You go to Don Krieg, who brought all kinds. This man had a damn arsenal. This man was a one-man army for freaking piercing objects. Cut stabs. Not this dude. Projectiles, you name it, melee and projectiles. Luffy was able to figure out that puzzle. Arlong, someone who had superhuman strength. Someone, again, bite, cut, punch, you name it. Luffy figured out the puzzle. Sir, Wapple was a joke. We ain't gonna talk about Wapple. That was someone who did not know how to fight. Dangerous ability, didn't know how to fight. Sir Crocodile, that's when the real test started. I mean, he got tested. Those were the journeymen. Then he fought a world-class fighter. And from that point on, show me when Luffy hasn't fought a world-class fighter, except for a couple examples. Dangerous in their own regard, though. Sir Crocodile, world-class. Okay? He's up there. He's a championship caliber fighter. It took Luffy some behind whoopings and some L's to figure out that, because he went from journeyman fighters to the legit fighter. Throw people, understand this. Luffy, this is like asking someone who comes up barely any amateur resume. I don't care if you're talking MMA, Muay Thai, boxing. And to go is like, listen, bro, no trainer, mind you. We're going to drop you in with people who've been fighting for decades. Good luck, young man. Go out there and win that fight. How well do you think the young man's going to do? And then, all right, he beat some journeyman. You like, oh, top prospect, you got 5 or 6 wins. Now we're gonna drop you in with a world championship caliber fighter who's like 39-1. How do you think the 6-0 fighter's gonna do against 39-1? Exactly. Bellamy. Bellamy would have been a problem early in Luffy's career, but Luffy faced against a world champion, show a knockdown. A borderline contender, anybody on Luffy's level is getting dusty. And that's what happened to the hyena. You go through a nail, a glass cannon, power hitter, Luffy, all these kinds of gimmicks and stuff. Luffy figured out a way to win. Gimmick fighter, foxy, wily, a shrewd operator. Wasn't really that skilled at fighting, but he had all the tricks. Luffy figured out a way to win. Gecko Moria, another world-class heavy hitter. Luffy was getting his behind whooped, and for good reason. Luffy figures out a way to win. Luffy stood no chance. Well, he didn't have the tools to be able to face off against someone like Borsalino, so we'll go over that. Then let's go to post-time skip. Against Corey Jones, who would have beaten him pre-time skip. Oh, of course, I can't forget Rob Lucci, another world-class fighter. And you saw it was a knockout, drag-out fight where it took everything Luffy had to throw out this man because this man was superior in so many regards. Rob Lucci was a superior combatant, and Luffy had to figure out a way to win. Part of it was his will. He had the will to win more than Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci was in there to get a job done. Luffy was in there to protect and win. And that's sometimes just what it takes. Someone who has more of a will to win. When Andy Ruiz Jr. defeated Anthony Joshua the first time, more of a will to win. When Anthony Joshua defeated Andy Ruiz, more of a will to win. Doesn't mean that Anthony Joshua was a better fighter, but he had more will that night. And sometimes that's the best you could take. And he had a better strategy than what Ruiz brought to the table. Cordy Jones would have been a problem, especially this dope state. Luffy was just a superior combatant by that point. Caesar Clown produced, even though Caesar Clown wasn't a fighter, again, Caesar Clown had some abilities that were problematic. But Luffy, because of his experience at this point, he's able to defeat him. You look at someone like Joker. Joker caused Luffy to bring out everything, to bring out all the stops. And Joker helped to hone Luffy's skills. Okay? Luffy, I've mentioned time and time again, is a freestyle fighter. But when it came to the New World, Luffy has to develop the fundamentals, and that's what you started to see. Lord Cracker was beginning to expose that, Katakuri. So Luffy now has to develop his skills in the pirate world. And I said that he has all the tools. He just has to get the experience. We see it what happens with Kaido when you fight against a legend and you lack the experience to go up against a legend. It's like Conor McGregor versus Floyd Money Mayweather Jr. Conor McGregor did very well, but you going up against a legend. You need experience. And Luffy now is in a position where he's gaining experience. Now he's getting taught even more further technique. And that's kind of what happens. Luffy's never really been trained. So to say he's a bit unpolished is, yeah, because you would be. If you've never been trained at all, if you've never been shown proper technique when it comes to footwork or proper way to throw a punch, a great example I'll give is King and Omega, the protagonist, Koga. All right. He was wasting his energy. He wasn't being effective. He got showed proper footwork by his pretty much the deuteragonist of the series, as well as by some experienced veteran fighters and trainers. And then he comes back within a few weeks or a month or so, and he's elevated greatly as a fighter. And that's just what it takes. And we see that with Hio of the was it Flower? I'm trying to remember. But anyways, Luffy is a fighter, man. His fighting style has pros and cons. But that's the beauty about him. He is an example of just raw talent, fighting genius, and untapped potential. Him as a freestyle fighter presents so many problems, and that's part of it. And he's a heavy hitter. He knows how to hit. Okay, he knows how to utilize his body and utilize his strengths. Whatever weaknesses he has, he experiences that in combat, and he grows from it. So his fighting style at different points showcases his growth. I mentioned about Sanji, his character, he's a growth as a character. Luffy's combat grows as his experience as a young man grows via combat, as well as um you could say his hockey growth. So his personal as well as his combat growth are what spurs his evolution. The more experience he has in the world, coming from a naive state to a now worldly young man, it's how he's growing. I'm pretty sure that's similar to how Roger grew in a lot of ways. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on Luffy as a fighter, his fighting style. It's a more nebulous type style, but I think that's intentionally done by Oda to showcase the growth of him as a person, and who he's now becoming. He's no longer this, jolly, oh, everything's gonna be fine. Now he's what he is. And I forgot to mention good old Buggy, but Buggy was his first taste of a real veteran pirate, and he struggled with that. And so that's just what happens. Luffy mirrors that of a young, talented fighter, and who would go up against legitimate threats. So if you are considering potentially the path of a pro fighter, look at Luffy. That's what you're gonna have to encounter. That's why, on a short note, that's why they usually, when you have management and promotion, they build up a fighter, they give him, people say trash cans. No, you need to have a natural go of things. You can't go to the top dogs usually quickly. At the lighter divisions, you see guys promoted quicker, but at the heavier, deeper divisions, usually it takes guys a number of fights, 18, 20 fights, before they even get a crack at the world championship. All right, y'all. Peace. Stay warm out there.